Good day and welcome to the FP10 Podcast. My name is Charlotte van Velthoven, moderator at Charlie Speaks and a former EU public affairs professional in the field of EU research, education and innovation. Great that you are listening to this episode of the FP10 Podcast, in which we will bring you views of various associations on their ideas for the future of EU research, innovation and education policy. In fact, I talk to them not only about their wishes, but rather about their hearts and concrete much needed suggestions for FP10. Enjoy listening to the FP10 podcast. Today I'm excited to welcome Marta Agostinho, EU Life Executive Director. EU Life represents leading research centres in the life sciences to support and strengthen research excellence and to be a voice for research in European policy. Marta's fields of action include science policy, strategic science management, and communication, outreach, and public dialogue with science. She is also expert evaluator in EU programs. As Executive Director of EU Life, she oversees the implementation of the strategy of the Alliance and leads the science policy area. She is currently based in Barcelona, Spain. Marta, thanks so much for being here and great having you.
Thank you, Charlotte. It's really great to be here, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Very good. So, Marta, I think during the past weeks, I already had the pleasure to talk to some key figures in the EU research and innovation bubble already. And I'm really thrilled to have yet another voice now, also specifically from the life sciences sector. However, I must say with a very clear call for more excellent research support in Europe. Marta, I think we witness some exciting times, especially for being able to discuss the latest R&I developments, to which you also contribute very vividly. So that's very good to see. You recently launched your statement, The Future of European Research, 5 key actions for a competitive Europe. Well, first of all, why did you launch this statement now after the Draghi letter, but also the report of the expert group on the interim evaluation of Horizon Europe published during the course of the last couple of months? Happy to have your view.
Well, thank you, Charlotte. Yes, I mean, it's really exciting times, as you say, because we are really in the midst, in the melting pot of creating the policies for Europe that also influence all the world for the upcoming years, for the upcoming decades. So exciting times. And precisely after the 3 pivotal reports that kind of show the way to our European politicians on how to enhance the prosperity of Europe, we felt it's really time to kind of make a summary of what does that mean for research and innovation. And that's why we launched our statement now, focused really on 5 key actions for our politicians, because this time we really have to get it right. The world really needs that we get it right.
Yeah, and the world really needs it to get it right because there's so much happening right now. Also in the continents, of course, surrounding Europe with the US elections that took place, with an outcome that presumably also suggests that we really have to focus on strengthening our economy, our competitiveness as well, right? I mean, we have to secure that spot. I think that has become even more evident right now.
Yes, it became more evident, but let's face it, it's not a surprise, right? So I really count on our politicians to have a long-term view, right? So and as worrisome as it might be, we also have to look at it as an opportunity.
Exactly.
Because it comes in the time that we are really preparing for the next political cycle in Europe and also for the next financial cycle. So it kind of comes timely. Well, having said this, of course, we really have to make sure that we don't let our fears kind of obscure our vision.
Yeah.
We really need a very good vision.
Exactly. And if people or politicians were not awake yet, then they definitely got a wake-up call yesterday, which also means that when you look at what can be achieved within the field of research and innovation, that EU institutions, from your point of view, they need to be both realistic and ambitious at the same time. Do you really think those words actually make a happy marriage?
Yes, I do. I think they must make a happy marriage. So, and it's actually our mantra for the FP7. So EU Life really claims for an ambitious yet realistic FP10. And what do we mean by this? Ambitious is the first word. We really have to have an ambitious vision. And this means that we go beyond the short termism of the short political cycles. And the election in the US already showed this yesterday. So we call for an ambitious vision that really takes into consideration the time that excellent research takes to become disruptive innovation and to become solutions to the citizens. We absolutely need to have that in consideration. Take, for example, the COVID pandemics. It looks like that all of a sudden we were in the middle of pandemics, and all of a sudden there was this miracle called mRNA vaccines that appear. No, it was not a miracle. It was the result of science made year after year, decade after decade, on a topic that apparently did not have any connection to the daily life of the citizens. That's the kind of investment we need on the vision, the ambitious vision to promote this kind of readiness when it's needed. But then we need to be realistic, because we can only achieve this if we have investments both from the European side and from the member states that really walk the talk and put actions into words, investing in a strong European research and innovation program.
Okay, and do you think that those investments are really going to happen this time? I mean, we've talked for like decades already about 3% investments or 3% GDP investment in research and innovation. We simply do not achieve that across the board within the EU member states. I think Commissioner-designate Zaharieva said, again, want to have this 3%. Next week in Budapest, the heads of state will convene. In a leaked version of the Budapest Declaration, we even find a 4% GDP R&I. I mean, when we talk about realistic and ambitious, I think that's quite a challenge as well, right? What can we really realistically expect from member states?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think we are always walking on this dichotomy, right? What is really needed and what happens in the end, right? And but the world has changed. World is even more complex. And as Ursula von der Leyen says, we really need to put research and innovation at the center of the prosperity of Europe. So this time, our politicians have to get it right. I really think so. The 3% target is 20 years old. So let's get the 3% and then we talk about the 4%. Let's be realistic. But there must be investments. But it's also not only about the investment, it's about how we make the investments, how we ring fence this for the 7-year financial cycle, for example. And every stakeholder talks about this, and every research and innovation, the whole sector talks about it. But it's also how we invest on that.
Exactly. And it's not only ring fencing, but of course for you, very important as well, apart from the ring fencing. If you would have more budgets, we still need to have a look, okay, where does that budget actually go to? Does it go to the places where you really have that added value, which is so needed?
Yes, and that's why we call first for ambition on the vision and then on the talk of the budget, because sometimes the conversation is twisted, right? It looks like we are asking for a budget without knowing where the budget should go for the benefit of the citizens. It's the other way around. Let's have a strong vision for research and innovation, where excellent research can really produce what is needed, and then let's promote disruptive innovation in the proper way, also with the private investment, and then we will have results.
Very good. And I think you already have that vision and ambition yourself for EU Live, because what you want is that you say there's a need to create quality based, open, equitable, fair, and diverse research institutions. And you relate that point to Draghi's ERC for institutions and letter fifth freedom ideas. Can you explain why you have explicitly mentioned this as one of your key actions for a competitive Europe?
Yes, it's my pleasure because it's one of our favorite topics.
It's at the core of what you do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think Draghi touches on a very important aspect, which is institutions, and sometimes they are a little bit overlooked. And we really need strong and visionary and sustainable institutions because research and innovation is not a lonely job of a single person. We need teams to develop the ideas. We need collaboration among people from different parts of the world in a multidisciplinary way. And we need quality based management to manage how to make these collaborations work, but also how to leverage what we produce and bring it to the society. And above that, more importantly, we need really visionary leadership. So what happens? EU Life represents independent research institutes. We have, for example, this year published the Charter for Independent Research Institutes, and we are leading institutions in Europe. And independent research institutes have a very crucial role in the ecosystem because we are focused institutions, totally focused on research, excellent research. We are agile institutions, and because of our size, we can be really good test beds. And we really deliver a huge part of the excellent research in Europe, as well as create these ecosystems where the innovation comes from. For example, we host a lot of cutting edge technology. But we are many times forgotten by the politicians.
Yeah.
And that's why we really welcome Draghi's idea of investing in institutions on a quality-based manner. Of course, we really need to understand what it means, an ERC-based institution scheme.
Yeah.
But we really need quality-based, inclusive, and diverse support to institutions. It doesn't matter if it is a university, a big research infrastructure, or a research institute, but all of them must be taken into consideration by the politicians.
Exactly. And of course, we have like tons of indicators to define what is a excellent research institution, but I think the backbone, of course, should be excellent research. Diversity can indeed be broad, and I think when we talk about quality based, I mean that sets the one that really do well apart from the other ones. If you look at it in a very black and white perspective, but at the same time, when we really look into the nitty gritty details, you also have some struggles as research institutions, right? When you look at the current call structure within Horizon Europe, you see there are some difficulties that should not be there, which also has to do with the different TRL levels, the criteria for the collaborative calls, the top-down policy on the one hand and the bottom-up calls on the other hand. Could you elaborate on that, the problems that you face that you really desperately would like to see changed in the new program, or, well, perhaps in the new or next work program already as of next year?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
As of next year, that would be even more important. Yeah, so I think it's one of the important things is that really one of our actions that we call for is strike the right balance. But the devil is in the details. And what does it mean, right balance? Because for different stakeholders and for different people, balance needs different things and the right balance needs different things. So let me clarify what it is for us. We really need a better and more investment in discovery-driven, open-ended, excellent research, which is missing in the current situation in Horizon Europe. The ERC is a critical, a crucial element of the European Union. It's one of its highest success. So strong support to the ERC. We are very proud to have been part of it since its onset.
And on the positive side, it is expected that the ERC will get even more support and can be
and that's
widened.
absolutely needed, and it's very good that this is real
but that's
consensus.
only one part.
Exactly, that's only one instrument. What we are really missing, and that it's not the role of the ERC, is the large collaborative consortia at the earlier stages of the research, of the open-ended research. This is not happening right now. And when we talk about European Union Framework Program, we talk about the added value at European and worldwide level. And this is the added value because the single member states cannot promote these large-scale collaborations. That's what we mean when we say that there is too much top-down, prescriptive instruments that are usually very much focused on finding a very concrete solution for a very concrete problem. And on top of that, it's usually on a very implementation stage already. So it's even not about innovation or research. It's about implementation. That's where the balance is not right. So if I may give you an example, and this is not a new problem, this is an old problem that now this time we have to get it right.
Yeah.
So in 2019, we issued a paper, EU Life, analyzing the first 2 years of Horizon 2020, the precursor of Horizon Europe, as compared to FP7, which was the previous one. And we looked at the participation of EU Life institutes in projects in the health cluster, the pillar one, corresponding to pillar one. So from FP7 to the first 2 years of Horizon 2020, the participation of EU Life institutes dropped by 60%. And we are
That's not
leading
a drop.
institutes.
It's huge.
It's a huge drop.
Yeah.
And we are leading, and we didn't stop applying. So we asked our scientists what happened, and they say there's simply no opportunity for excellent research there. We cannot really coordinate or participate in projects. So then we analyzed, and for example, in the 2014 and 15 Horizon 2020 working program in the health cluster, on the topic of personalizing health and care, only 3 calls were focused on understanding mechanisms and principles in health and disease, meaning excellent research, fundamental research, while 31 calls were on diagnosis, ICT, innovative technology, care systems, and health policy. So 3 out of 34. We absolutely need all the continuum. What we need is to strike a better balance.
Yeah, that's pretty much a skew balance, I would say, and not a balance at all, really a disbalance. But it's good that you approach that topic. So that's an example of 10 years ago, but luckily you managed to tackle that topic. But it should be clarified, of course, that this should not happen again, of course, in the new program, because there is a lot of noise from the academic world to say, okay, also in the collaborative projects, make sure that you get the balance right. Because you're absolutely right, I must say. I mean, sometimes politics can be driven by, we need to solve something right now, which should also be part and parcel of the deal. But many things, as you already alluded to with the vaccine example, I mean, that's a lot of work that one put into it for many, many years. And now we could luckily take it out of the drawer and put it to implementation. But we shouldn't make it always depending on a crisis, of course. It should be like a continued support that one should be able to expect. Because if we don't do it, we know other ones are doing it, a China, a USA. So we really need to be cautious. So thanks a lot for those views. Marta, coherence of the R&I program. Do you really think that this still can be envisioned? Because there's a lot of debate now on what R&I funding should look like, new ideas of a European competitiveness fund. A couple of weeks ago, everyone was talking about, okay, what's going to happen to the FP10 program. So do you think there will be some coherence in the future, or rather more incoherence of the R&I program as it stands right now? I know we all don't have a crystal ball, but perhaps you can make a prediction.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot. Yeah, we don't have a crystal ball, but we have to say what we, as producers of excellent research and as leading institutes, what we see, and we are also not kind of naive here. We are several decades old institutions. And so we certainly believe that there is still a vision for a coherent program, for a strong FP10, not only because it's on the treaty, but because it's what the European citizens and our environment needs, which is a strong FP10. That is what it means to put research and innovation in the core of European prosperity. Now, if this is going to be coupled to an European competitive fund or not, what we must ensure is that the ERC, the EIC, the Marie Sklodowska-Curie actions, the research infrastructures, they are all coherently together, also with large-scale collaborative projects that tackle industrial needs, that tackle societal challenges. They all have to be coherently together, because if you do not put researchers and innovations at the center of this politics and of this policy, then how come you want to make research and innovation the center of European prosperity? We need stability, we need coherence, and we need agility to do our work.
Yeah, and that's the world where indeed the researchers and innovators also find each other, right?
Yes.
One could start off within your research institution, putting in a excellent ERC proposal, having this kind of funding, which is on the lower tier rail levels, then thinking, okay, I want to go ahead, get my proof of concept or do a collaborative project. And hey, by the way, guys, I think there is a huge commercial and societal benefit, but which people should I involve? And I think, it would be good to keep the program in a sense together.
Yes, and we have to be very clear here. I think everybody wants science, research and innovation to contribute to the society. This is not at stake. So everybody wants the so-called directionality, if that means to focus on problems and address these problems. What is not working is the prescriptive nature and the submission of research and innovation into the powers of other priorities that do not understand and put too many constraints to the way how we do research and innovation. And I'm talking clearly about industrial strategy. And historically we know, because the politicians live in short political cycles, that they tend to look at the short-termism. And this is not how research and innovation works.
Exactly. It needs time and it needs proper funding. That's clear.
And that's why we cannot be submitted to other priorities and talk about directionality as if we did not have a direction. We do have.
Exactly. Directionality, indeed. That comes to my next point, because last Tuesday, the hearing took place of the EU Commissioner-designate Zaharieva for Research and Innovation. Well, if you look at her hearing, do you think that the new EU Commissioner would be fit for the job, being able to take your core wishes as EU life forward? Do you think the hearing was actually well done? Was she well prepared? Are you a bit reassured for the future?
I am.
Okay,
yes.
Good.
So
she will listen into the podcast and she can hear it for herself.
I hope so. So I really want to congratulate her for the hearing.
Yeah.
I think Commissioner Zaharieva was really well prepared.
Yeah, she stood her ground. Yeah.
She stood her ground, and for me, she highlighted something. It's really important. Commissioners are politicians. They move from portfolio to portfolio. But what we need is a commissioner that can be well prepared and can listen to the experts. And Zaharieva mentioned several times she will listen to experts. This is absolutely critical. So I was very happy with this aspect. So we are really enthusiastic to work with Commissioner Zaharieva. We were also reassured for her plea or her standing for a strong FP10. And we really offer our collaboration and our expertise for the life sciences strategy.
Okay, very good.
Again, we have to get it right.
Yeah. And I think when you talk about your life sciences strategy, I think you've been pretty happy, probably also with the fact that within the report on Align, Act and Accelerate, there was a box dedicated on the life sciences sector. So presumably one does see that there needs to be focus on the life sciences sector, right?
Yes, and that's very important. I mean, well, again, the pandemics, right? But the pandemics is just one of the waves that we are facing in this tsunami of polycrisis, right?
Yeah.
But the life sciences strategy can be a very good example where we could apply our 5 key actions, right?
Yeah.
Strike the right balance, be ambitious, be realistic, be coherent, support in a quality-based manner. I think it could be a very good example, and it could be a very good flagship for Commissioner Zaharieva.
Yeah, and it's the only way to make it concrete, right? We can talk about those kind of container definitions, if you would like to put it like that, but you have to put it into practice, and that's something that you do very concretely. Okay, so Commissioner-designate Zaharieva did a good job. We already talked a bit about the different, 3 reports that really have a lot of value in terms of what can be predicted for how policy will meet practice in terms of research and innovation support with Draghi, with Letta. But I'd like to come to the latest report from Heitor, of course, where, I mean, he's been very clear, also the only one with his expert group calling for at least a 220 billion budget for the new framework program. But if you would have to mention 3 keywords that really come to your mind reflecting on the report, what would these 3 keywords be for you?
Yeah. Well, let me just first congratulate Manuel Heitor and the whole high-level group. I think the report is really a very high-quality, very fundamental piece of information for our politicians. So really well done. They really listen to the stakeholders as well. So I think it's very important that all the commissioners take it to their heart, because it's really a good way forward. So the 3 keywords, well, again, the call for a strong program. I think it's obvious if the whole sector is together like this, I think it must be heard. Also the call for more open and less prescriptive approaches.
Yeah, which we discussed extensively indeed.
Today.
Yeah.
And also, of course, the higher budget is mandatory. Walk the talk. So,
exactly. But then again, not just a higher budget, also allocate the budget to the right parts. I mean, 220 billion only going into certain technologies doesn't gonna help you. It's not gonna help you any further, of course.
It's not gonna help the world.
Yeah.
It's not
a matter
so much of helping scientists. It's a matter of helping the world. We are together in this and it's about also keeping the portfolio, right? So one of the topics we didn't touch today was the topic on the dual use, on the military versus civil research. I think it's a very complex topic. And since the elections in the US, but also many other developments with the wars, I think we have to be very realistic about that as well. But we have to keep in mind the nature of research. an excellent research is a global approach.
It's a global approach, and that also means a lot for international collaboration,
Yes.
of course, because we talk very much about the EU, of course, the funding program, and we're not touching right now on international collaboration, but as you mentioned before, research is global. That's a fact. It doesn't stop at any kind of border.
And if Europe wants to be leading in the world, it has to collaborate with the world.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Very clear point. And finally, Marta, which is something I'll ask all participants in the podcast, and which I think could be really great to communicate to DGRTD at a later stage. Of course, we have the name Horizon Europe. Before that, it was Horizon 2020. Before that, we just called it FP, acronym for Framework Program. What would your suggestion be for the name for the next framework program?
That's a tough one, but I would still stick to Horizon. I mean, we can brainstorm on the details, but let's keep it Horizon because that's what science and innovation give to people. Is a broader horizon. And instead of creating more jargon and changing again the narratives and the ways we call things, let's focus on what is more important, the content, and how we achieve this ambitious vision. So let's keep it with Horizon. And
it pretty much resonates well with a broader audience, right? When one talks about Horizon here, everyone knows what you're talking about. Okay, very clear. Marta, thanks a lot. It was really a great joy to have you on the podcast. I would like to wish you the best of luck with all your future endeavors, and hopefully there will be a very strong FP10 in which you feel very much recognized. So thanks once again, and hope to see you next time.
Thanks a lot, Charlotte. Really nice to be here.